After McKinley's death, newly inaugurated President Theodore Roosevelt declared, "When compared with the suppression of anarchy, every other question sinks into insignificance." On September 13, the day before McKinley succumbed to his wounds, Czolgosz was taken from the police headquarters, which were undergoing repairs, and transferred to the Erie County Women's Penitentiary temporarily. On September 16, he was brought to the Erie County Jail to be arraigned before County Judge Emery. After the arraignment, Czolgosz was transferred to Auburn Prison. A grand jury indicted Czolgosz on September 16 with one count of first-degree murder. Throughout his incarceration, Czolgosz spoke freely with his guards, but he refused every interaction with Robert C. Titus and Lauren L. Lewis, the prominent judges turned attorneys assigned to defend him, and with the expert psychiatrists sent to test his sanity. The case was prosecuted by the Erie County District Attorney, Thomas Penny, and Assistant DA Frederick Haller, whose performance was described as flawless. Although Czolgosz answered that he was pleading guilty, Presiding Judge Truman C. White overruled him and entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. Czolgosz's trial began in the state courthouse in Buffalo on September 23, 1901, 9 days after McKinley died. Prosecution testimony took 2 days and consisted principally of the doctors who treated McKinley and various eyewitnesses to the shooting. Lewis and his co-counsel called no witnesses, which Lewis in his closing argument attributed to Czolgosz's refusal to cooperate with them. In his 27-minute address to the jury, Lewis took pains to praise McKinley. Scott Miller, author of The President and the Assassin, notes that the closing argument was more calculated to defend the attorney's place in the community, rather than an effort to spare his client the electric chair. Even had the jury believed the defense that Czolgosz was insane, by claiming that no sane man would have shot and killed the president in such a public and blatant manner, knowing he would be caught, there was still the legal definition of insanity to overcome. Under New York law, Czolgosz was legally insane only if he was unable to understand what he was doing. The jury was unconvinced of Czolgosz's insanity due to the directions given to them by Judge White. They voted to convict him after less than a half hour of deliberations. Czolgosz had 2 visits the night before his execution, one with 2 clergymen and another later in the night with his brother and brother-in-law. Even though Czolgosz refused Father Fudzinski and Father Hickey twice, Superintendent Collins permitted their visit and escorted them to his cell. The priests pleaded for 45 minutes for him to repent, but he refused and they left. His brother Waldeck and brother-in-law Frank Bandowski visited after the priests had left. His brother asked him, "Who got you into this scrape?" To which Czolgosz responded, "No one. Nobody had anything to do with it but me." His brother said it was unlike him and was not how he was raised. When asked by his brother if he wanted the priests to come back, Czolgosz said, "No, damn them. Don't send them here again. I don't want them, and don't you have any praying over me when I am dead. I don't want it. I don't want any of their damned religion." His father wrote a letter to his son the night before his execution, wishing him luck and informing him that he could no longer help him, and Leon had to pay the price for his actions. Although after the trial Czolgosz and his attorneys were informed of his right to appeal the sentence, they chose not to after Czolgosz declined. Also, the attorneys knew that there were no grounds for appeal. The trial had been quick, swift, and fair. Czolgosz's last words were, "I killed the president because he was the enemy of the good people to the good working people. I am not sorry for my crime. I am sorry I could not see my father." Czolgosz was electrocuted by 3 jolts, each of 1,800 volts, in Auburn prison on October 29, 1901, 45 days after McKinley's death. He was pronounced dead at 7:14 a.m. The state electrician of Czolgosz was Edwin Davis. Waldek Czolgosz and Frank Bandowski attended the execution. When Waldek asked the warden for his brother's body, to be taken for proper burial, he was informed that he would never be able to take it away, and that crowds of people would mob him. Czolgosz was autopsied by John E. Jaron, his brain was autopsied by Edward Anthony Spitzka. The autopsy showed his teeth were normal but in poor condition, likewise the external genitals were normal, although scars were present, the result of chancroids. The autopsy showed the deceased was in good health, a death mask was made of his face. The body was buried on prison grounds following the autopsy. Prison authorities had planned to inter the body with quicklime to hasten its decomposition, but decided otherwise after testing quicklime on a sample of meat. After determining that they were not legally limited to the use of quicklime for the process, they poured sulfuric acid into Czolgosz's coffin so that his body would be completely disfigured. The warden estimated that the acid caused the body to disintegrate within 12 hours. His clothes and possessions were burned in the prison incinerator to discourage exhibitions of his life.